Let's talk about the economy, starting with jobs. We had very, very strong jobs numbers come out late last week. CNBC reports job growth totals 253,000 in April, beating expectations even as the U.S. economy slows from the standpoint of GDP. The simple facts are non-farm payrolls were expected at 180,000, came in at 253,000. That's great. Unemployment rate was 3.4%. The estimate was 3.6%. This is the lowest unemployment rate since 1969. And average hourly earnings went up 0.5% and are now up 4.4% from a year ago. Wages growing faster than expected, both in the last month and in the last year. A couple of other interesting things to mention here. One is that black unemployment, much touted and discussed by Donald Trump as one of his major accomplishments, has hit an all-time low. Do we care specifically about the racial breakdown of jobs? Well, we care to the extent that elected officials in Washington use it as a political football. Now, what does this say in general about how the economy is doing? Well, we have to look at a lot of different things when we ask, how is an economy doing? An economy is not only jobs. An economy is not only stock market. An economy is not only GDP or inflation. But in sum total, we can look at a lot of these things. For example, here is a chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is a 1-month chart. As you can see, the Dow is up over the last month. Here is a 6-month chart. The Dow is up over the last 6 months. Here is a year-to-date chart. The Dow is up there. Here is a 1-year chart. The Dow is up there as well. And here is a 5-year chart. And the stock markets over longer periods tend to go up, and it is up then as well. So jobs numbers, quite solid. Stock market, quite solid. Inflation now for the better part of a year has been trickling down and down and down with some blips where it goes up. Are inflation numbers where we would love them to be? No. Are they dramatically better than when Trump left and Joe Biden came in? Absolutely. And then we have GDP. GDP growth was still positive in Q1, but it did slow down. Is this the most exciting, dynamic, and explosive, electrifying economy that we have ever seen? It is not. Is this the near disaster that the right claims the United States economy finds itself in because of Joe Biden's presence in the White House? Absolutely not. And as I've said many times before, many of these indicators only have little bits to do with the policy from the Oval Office and the presidency. Now, there are always reflexive people, like they can't help. They just like vomit out these talking points when they don't like conceding that the economy is doing okay because the person they didn't vote for is in the Oval Office. You will hear things like, there's jobs created because everybody's working 2 jobs and that makes the economy bad. We have an indicator of that. There are not a uniquely large number of people working 2 jobs at this point in time. You hear about, well, it's the reason it's happening is because stay-at-home moms are having to go back to work because the economy's so bad. Yet you never want to talk about that dynamic when you do your labor participation rate conspiracy theory. So we hear about all of these things year in and year out. We can find the data. There is not anything particularly alarming or different right now about the number of people who were out of the workforce and went back in, or the number of people working 2 jobs. It doesn't mean we don't have problems. Wages relative to inflation have been stagnant for a while now. That's a long-term problem. It's bigger than Biden. It's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than Obama. Okay, you get the picture. Labor participation rate. The country's population has been growing for a very long time. At most times, you can say we have more people than ever working, and we have more people than ever not working. That makes it a really popular political football to throw around. My suggestion is to zoom out, look at unemployment, job creation, GDP, stocks, inflation, meaning consumer price index, wage growth, and I could go on and a couple more, and then take the general temperature of it to get a sense of where we are. If you do that, it is not possible to come to the conclusion some on the right have come to, which is that Joe Biden's economy is a disaster, putting the United States on the brink of collapse. There is no case that can be made with data, actual data, honest data, that would accurately suggest that that is the situation right now. Could the economy be better? Sure. Is the economy a disaster right now? Not at all. Could it become one in the future? Of course.